There's an old expression that goes something like this: when life hands you lemons, make lemonade. And I believe it has everything to do with how we handle discontentedness, that feeling of dissatisfaction with your life circumstances. Hi, my name is Gary, and I'm willing to say that there have probably been times in your life when you have felt discontentment. Perhaps you find yourself in desperate life circumstances right now. Plans you had for yourself and your future have hit a snag. I remember a time like that, finding that I had more month left at the end of my money. It seemed like I would be living from paycheck to paycheck with no end in sight. In this instance, there are two ways to cope. One is to remain in a permanent state of discontentment. In other words, you can accept the dissatisfaction in your life and tell yourself that this is as good as it gets. Or there is option number two. Make lemonade out of your discontentedness. Ask God to give you contentment in the midst of your discontent. That's the option Paul took during his lifetime. You see, Paul was called by God to tell people about the life, death, and resurrection of Jesus. Yet during his lifetime, God allowed uncomfortable situations to happen. Paul was beaten several times, stoned and left for dead, and even shipwrecked. You talk about a man who was handed a bushel of discontentment lemons, there he is. How did he deal with dissatisfaction with his life circumstances? Let's hear from Paul himself in the words he wrote to the Christian community living near Philippi. Not that I am speaking of being in need, for I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. I know how to be brought low, and I know how to abound. In any and every circumstance, I have learned the secret of facing plenty and hunger, abundance and need. I can do all things through him who strengthens me. Believe me, Paul prayed that God would take him out of these dissatisfying life circumstances, just like I imagine you have prayed too. But instead of taking these situations away, God gave Paul the ability to stand up under them. That's what Paul meant when he wrote, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content. Who gave Paul that contentedness? God did. Paul learned that regardless of the situation he faced, his ability to stand up under them came from God. That's why he wrote, I can do all things through him who strengthens me. This is true for you and me as well. Only God can help us look discontentedness eye to eye and say to it, I have learned in whatever situation I am to be content, for I can do all things through him who strengthens me. And by the way, let me tell you how God made me content during those times when I wondered if I could provide for my family. I can't explain it, but there was this contentedness. And then for some reason, after prayer, God seemed to stretch my money all the way through to the end of the month. So here's your challenge for today. When discontentedness weighs on you, pray aloud these words, God, help me to be content, for I have learned I can do all things through you who strengthens me. You can do it. Now go win today.